I think seeking help is something that a lot of students find challenging, especially at this age. There's a sense of independence that we take on, and we like to relish in that. But as a first-generation student, I think it's been really imperative in my college experience to learn to ask for help when I need it. For example, a lot of my friends may be able to go to their parents and kind of seek advice for certain things because their parents have these experiences that they can share with them, and mine don't.
I didn't even tell my parents I failed a test. Like, there was no way that I could have told my parents I failed an exam. They would have been just beside themselves. And I reached out to my resident advisor. They made connections for me with some of the academic resources, and I was able to find a way. But I certainly didn't expect to be there, and I didn't have the sense that my peers were there. But in the end, I think you know that they all were.
Thinking back, it would have been a good idea to seek out people who were in the best position to answer my question and to help me in the way that I needed help.
For the longest time, I wanted to try to do it by myself until I realized that that wasn't really the best way to do it.
I think I was very fortunate to have professors who have an open door policy and were very welcoming in terms of any questions or any interests I had that needed a bit more space outside of the classroom.
I was just very welcomed by all of the help that Lafayette had, especially for their first year students. I felt very supported, especially during a time where I felt like everything was on me and I had to figure out by myself. But I think Lafayette does a great job in fostering a community that supports each other and really tries to facilitate that first year experience as much as possible.
So something I made sure to do was talk to professors and before to teachers to make sure they know my aspirations and my goals and also the ways they could help me achieve them.
Pretty much right away as soon as I got here, it was just kind of scary, having a completely new environment and not really knowing what to do about it. I talked to my parents a lot at first, but it got to the point where I kind of realized I needed a little bit more, so I ended up going to the counseling center here on campus and getting that more professional help right here.
Some people kind of just build up a wall and build up a face saying, I'm okay. But sometimes you just gotta let those things down, let some walls down to allow people to help you.
Well, I'd say my parents were extremely supportive, but they were at a loss for what kind of advice to give me because they hadn't had the college experience.
I think part of that is asking questions. You don't know what you don't know, so not being afraid to ask questions.
I think the biggest thing was just myself, and it was this just admitting that I needed help and that I couldn't just do this on my own. I was used to being able to do things pretty much on my own, and I guess it was a little bit of a pride thing of okay, I'm gonna have to, have someone else, an outside source really get me through this. And then I was so grateful afterwards and kind of wished I hadn't waited as long.